What's up, YouTube? You know what time it is. It's MightyFan time, and I have a pickup video to share. I've got my replica Reebok Mike Vick Eagles 1960, commemorative jersey that they wore to start the season last year. They lost that game to the Packers, like they lost to the end of the season to the Packers, but that was the game that really cemented Mike Vick as the Eagles' starting quarterback. So there you go. But at any rate, I do have a pickup to share, a couple pickups, one being a jersey, the others being a couple hats that I just picked up today. Jersey I just got in the mail today. I know in my last video I said I'm expecting something in the mail. It just came in the mail today, so this is in some ways also a mail day vid for me. And let's get to it. I'm going to start with the jersey, and you notice I'm wearing a Kelly Green Eagles jersey because I love Kelly Green Eagle jerseys. I don't really mind their current jerseys either. I mean, those are pretty nice too, but you can't go wrong with the old Kelly Greens, you know? And speaking of the Kelly Green Eagle jerseys, I was able to add another one to the collection, and that would be this vintage Wilson NFL Kelly Green Eagles, number 32. Okay, who is this? Come on. Eagle fans out there know who this is. That would be Mr. For Who For What. Ricky Watters. Definitely one of my favorite Eagles growing up. The Eagles got him the year after he won the Super Bowl with the 49ers. He only wore this jersey for one season. I want to say it was the 95-96 season. And that's the last season the Eagles wore the Kelly Greens, and before they switched over to the Midnight Greens, which they currently wear. So this is a little bit of a symbolic jersey too, because this was the last year they wore these. I still kind of wish they wear these like twice a year. Come on, Eagles, let's go. Like the Chargers have to wear the powder blues, the Eagles should wear the Kelly Greens twice a year because they're so classic. But yes, Ricky Watters came to the Eagles. He was like a big off-season pickup that year, and it was a good season for the Eagles too, because it kind of helped turn things around for the Eagles. They went to the playoffs that year, and they killed the Lions. I mean, I'll never forget that game at the Vet. They just suffocated the Lions. It was like one of the most lopsided playoff victories for the Eagles in their franchise history that year, and Ricky Watters was a part of that team that beat the Lions that year in the wild card round, and of course they lost the next week at Dallas. But I mean. But they did have a fine season that year, won a playoff game, and started to turn things around a little bit for the franchise. Then they started losing again for a few years before they really started getting things going with Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb and company. But yeah, the early days, I mean, I certainly remember Ricky. I remember him on the 49ers and the Eagles, and of course he finished the season with the career with the Seahawks. Some say he could be a Hall of Famer someday. I mean, I would vote for him. I mean, he had a good career, very solid career. One of the great backs in his history of the NFL, out of Notre Dame. But yeah, Ricky Watters definitely made an impression in Philadelphia when he came. The first game he ever played as an Eagle, they played Tampa Bay at the Vet, and they lost a close game. And he kind of alligator armed a pass late in the game. And the famous quote from after that, when the reporters were asking about that, was "For who, for what?" But he certainly made up for that. I mean, he had a solid career as an Eagle. Pro Bowler, multiple Pro Bowler. Many good seasons here in Philadelphia before he went to Seattle. But this was the one season that he wore the Kelly Greens. I believe, again, if I remember correct, it was 1995-96. That was the last year the Eagles went to the Kelly Green. They went to the Midnight Green after that, I should say. But just such a classic jersey. It is a vintage Wilson, as you see the jock tag. For the low price of $35 shipped, I took this home off eBay. Got a real good deal on this. I will definitely be giving this wears during the football season up and coming. It's got the little NFL logo there on the neck. Everything, and you guys know me, I'm a huge fan of screen printed on name and number football jerseys. Why? Because those are the ones I remember the Eagles wearing when I was young, including this one. And you see it. There it is, all heat pressed, I should say, heat pressed. Heat pressed, 32 on the front, on the sleeves. It's got the heat pressed Waters on a nameplate. The 32 is also heat pressed, and it's also got the My Eagle logo. It's the one I grew up with. Right there on the sleeve, full flying eagle. It's got the Wilson tag again. Both sleeves. Just such a classic look. I can't believe the Eagles changed from this, but what can you do? Twice a year. Come on, Eagles. You got to wear these twice a year. But at any rate, there it is. So happy to have this in my possession because I definitely remember Ricky Waters growing up. In fact, this jersey reminded me of a jersey that I had from my youth, and I found it. So I want to share that with you guys too. As I just mentioned about the midnight green, and I have a jersey from the first year, I want to say it was the 96-97 season, that the Eagles switched over to the jerseys they were now, which is the midnight green. And you'll notice a familiar number here, number 32. And yes, that would be Ricky Waters. This jersey I had, back from when I was in high school. And this was the first year that the Eagles went to the midnight green, and I picked up this replica. It's a Russell Athletic jersey. Still fits, so I can still wear it. But I found it. I found it in amongst the rest of my jerseys there. And this again was the first year that the Eagles went to this look, and so the first ever midnight green Eagle jersey that I ever owned was a Ricky Waters. So there you go. Back in the day. Like I said, he had a good career with the Eagles. He really did. It started off on a little bit of a rough patch with the for who, for what, but he was a very solid back with the Eagles for many seasons. Pro Bowler, had some solid years with the Eagles, and I always have fond memories of him as an Eagles running back. And of course, he won that Super Bowl in San Francisco and had some decent years with the Seahawks too. And it all got started with the Kelly Green. So yeah, pretty rare jersey. You don't see this one too often. And I'm pretty happy to have it because, it was the only year that he wore this particular jersey. And it was also the last year that the Eagles wore this jersey, kind of sadly. But, the old Kelly Greens. Can't go wrong. So yes, I know Woodward's a big fan of the vintage, baseball jerseys. And, I have a few of the vintage football jerseys in my possession, and I'm such a big fan of them. All due respect to Mitchell and Ness, but anytime I can get my hands on a vintage Wilson or what have you football jersey, it's always a good thing because the quality, the detail, very, very nice. And I have a lot of great quality detail Mitchell and Ness throwback football jerseys too, but you gotta love the old Wilsons. You really do. So there it is, Ricky Waters, Philadelphia Eagles, again, circa 1995, somewhere along those lines. Okay, now that the jersey has been shown, now we're going to get into the lids. By the way, I got my snapback Mitchell & Ness Eagles hat that I got Lincoln Financial Field last year at an Eagles preseason game. I just was at an Eagles preseason game also last Thursday night against when they beat the Ravens. That was a lot of fun. That was a good time. Don't get off to too many Eagle games in person, but anytime I can go to them, I'm certainly up for it. Preseason or otherwise. But that reminds me, I did pick up while I was there. See, this is back-to-back years that I've gone to an Eagles preseason game, and in back-to-back years of going to Eagles preseason games, I picked up a Mitchell & Ness Eagles hat on sale. Well, actually, this one wasn't, but this one I just got was on sale. It was on a sale table there, and there it is. This is a perfect hat for the late fall and winter. This is a wool Mitchell & Ness fitted Eagles hat. Really sweet. Really like that look right there. The old logo circa the 60s, 1950s kind of eagle there. And it's got the brand. There it is, Mitchell & Ness, right in the back. Picked this up at Lincoln Financial Field last Thursday night. So, there you go. In a victory, so hopefully I'll be able to see many more victories this season with my birds, including the ultimate victory at the end of the season. One can only hope. But at any rate, the more recent lids pickups were today at, well, one of my favorite stores, Modell's, and had a coupon there, so I put that to good use. And I picked up a couple snapback hats of two West Coast hockey teams. And like I said, here on the East Coast, sometimes it's pretty hard to find West Coast team apparel. Besides like the Lakers or the USC or something like that. But some other teams are kind of harder to find here on the East Coast. And these two teams were definitely ones that were hard to find. For the first time ever, I was able to pick up hats of these two teams. And the first one here, if I remember correct, I know Resurrection is a pretty big fan of. I think this is his favorite hockey team in the NHL. So if Rez, watches this video, big shout out to you, Rez. And here they are, your San Jose Sharks. It definitely took me a while to get a San Jose Sharks hat. It did. But I know I had a Skype conversation with Murph not too long ago, and I was telling him I want to get a Sharks jersey someday. And you know me. I mean, if I get the jersey, I gotta get the hat. And sometimes I get the hat before I get the jersey, and this was an example of that. I had a chance to get a Sharks hat, and I wasn't gonna pass on it because I do have hopes of getting a Sharks jersey sometime. You know me, I have to get the hat and the jersey combo. So even though I don't have the jersey in hand, I do have the hat in hand, and hopefully the jersey will follow within the next how many months to come in the near future. But here you go, San Jose Sharks. These are Zephyr snapbacks, and they make a pretty quality hat as far as I'm concerned. Pretty happy with the Zephyr hats that I have at this point. And there they are. Again, this is the current Sharks logo, but it's pretty cool. I do like the Sharks colors in their logo. And there's a snapback, and they got the old school feel to it with the green underbrim there. So there you go, San Jose Sharks. And the other, the second hat that I was able to get today is a team that I do like the colors of. I do. I think they're pretty cool. And I got the Phoenix Coyotes. Now I do have an old starter Jeremy Roenick Coyotes jersey. So now I finally have a hat to go with it. It took me a long time, but there it is. See, MightyFan never gives up. Now, this is the current logo, and of course, the Roenick jersey is more of the older logo, but still, it will work. Coyotes, Coyotes, And this hat will also go with some other, team apparel that I have for other teams that have similar colors, so there you go. The old maroon, Phillies stuff that I have, it will go pretty good with, though. Though most of the time I'll be wearing a Phillies hat with it, but just in case. But yes, there it is, the Phoenix Coyotes. There's the snaps for the snapback, and there is the green underbrim. Very, very, very cool. I love what Zephyr and Mitchell & Ness and other companies are doing with these snapbacks. They definitely bring back a lot of fond memories of my youth, like that Ricky Waters jersey does. Because around the time I got that midnight green Ricky Waters jersey, I was wearing the snapbacks. So now it's good to see them making a comeback. But at any rate, those are my most recent pickups. I hope you all enjoy this video. I hope everything's going well for all my fellow Jersey heads out there. Big shout out as always to all my subscribers. Thank you all so much for subscribing to my channel. Keep hitting that subscribe button. There'll be more to come. And not only to me, but also subscribe to my fellow Jersey heads. Make sure you do that. And all my fellow Jersey heads, as I always say, as well, a big shout out to all of you, to all my friends and all my family. Big shout outs to you guys as well. Thank you all for all the support. And, so of course, to all my fellow Eagle fans out there, big shout outs to all you guys. And, the season's just around the corner now. And not we have to, rush into things. We still have the Phillies doing their thing, so it's a great time to be a Philadelphia sports fan. It really is. But at any rate, big shout outs to everyone, and I will see you in the next video. All right, peace. Bye.